and write that information down underneath the first column. And then you can go back to working on the worksheet. All right, Brian's side, do you notice any difference in the individual sitting across from you? Have they slowed down at all? Is their breathing rate increased? Maybe you notice a difference in their skin color. Maybe they're getting a little cyanotic. Maybe that coalish, bluish look. And then I'm going to go down the aisle here, starting with Shane. By show of fingers, how many symptoms do you have? You have 2. Very good. Steve's side? Or Steve? Very good. Gary? You have 1. Michael? Michael? Or Mike? How many symptoms do you have? You have 1. Brian? 1. Karsten? You have 1. Chris? 5. Very good. And Hal? How many symptoms? You have 3. All right. Our objective today actually is 3 symptoms. So once you get 3 good symptoms, you should really think about putting that mask on and correcting for the situation. The rest of
14.
us, if you have your mask off, should go ahead. Well, we'll wait just a second here, and we'll go to the 3-minute column in about 10 seconds. Do we have any good candidates to kind of play around with? Anybody in the low 60s on their pulse oximeter? Raise your hand. All right, we are coming up on 3 minutes, so before we do that, everyone that is off oxygen, go to item number 4, 3-minute column, and put a check mark by any symptoms that you're experiencing at this point. You also need to take a pulse oximeter reading. And Hal, how many symptoms do you have down there? Hey, Eric. Good decision.
15.
Good decision.
Either 10 or 11 will be fun.
All right. Let's go to Karsten. Karsten, how are you doing? You doing A-okay? You have 2 symptoms? Hey, Karsten, do me a favor. Out loud so Eric can hear, I want you to count backwards from 100 by 3s. I'll even start you off. 100, 97. Karsten, that last number you just said, I want you to write down on your worksheet, and I want you to circle the number. Let me know, or let Eric know when you've accomplished that. And the rest of us, okay, if you are off oxygen at this point, you need to go to item number 4. Item number 4, and put a check mark by any symptoms that you're experiencing at this point. How you doing, Steve?
Michael's gone to sleep.
Okay. Michael, you doing okay? Karsten, you think you need oxygen? Then put that mask on. Karsten, put your mask on. Karsten, save yourself. Karsten, put your mask on. Put your mask on, Karsten. Karsten, mask on, mask on. Karsten, put your mask on. All right, we're coming up on 5 minutes. Everybody put your mask on. Mask on, mask on. Everyone put your mask on. Carson, you have your mask on? Mask on, mask on. Everybody on Brian's side, while we're waiting, if you'll go ahead and put your pulse oximeters on. And we're going to start on Shane's side. And what I want to make sure that everybody is slowed down their breathing rate, and I'm going to make sure you're back to what you consider to be normal. So Shane, if you would come across intercom, are you back to what you consider to be normal?
Not quite.
Not quite, all right. Make sure you watch that breathing rate. Look at your flow indicator if you need to, and slow it down. Steve?
Just about. I'm getting there.
Getting there? All right. Gary?
I'm normal.
Michael? Okay. Brian? Brian? Does he need his headset on? Brian, are you back to what you consider to be normal? Is he giving us a thumbs up?
Brian, you feeling back to normal? Eric, he still ain't got his headset on. It's down below his ears. Can you hear me now, Brian?
All right, very good. All right, we're going to go on down. Carson, you back to normal? All right. Chris, good. And Hal. All right, let's come back to the first three. You're Shane? You good?
Down to just 2 symptoms instead of 3.
How do you feel right now?
I feel okay.
Okay. That's what we're looking for, is how you feel at the moment.
Tingling and numbing a little bit, but I still feel.
You still have tingling?
A little bit, yes.
I'll let JR go ahead and talk to you real quick.
Go ahead, Raj.
All right, you back with us, Shane? Is the tingling going away?
No, still a little tingling.
Yeah, let's give it a little 100%. Just slow down the breathing rate a little bit, okay?
Steve?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good? Very good. And Gary, you were back to normal?
Yep, I'm still good.
All right. Shane, is it getting better?
Yeah, it's starting to get better now.
Tingling's going away?
Yes, sir.
All right. If it gets any worse, you let JR know right away, all right? All right, everybody turn your worksheets over. We're going to reverse roles. And on my count back from 3, everybody on Brian's side, you can go ahead and take your mask off. 3, 2, 1, mask off. And again, try to do a standard whistle so you guys can see exactly what they were having trouble with. And then set a baseline for your vision. Either check a person out or a color chart or whatever you want to, but use that same object or person throughout the remainder of the demo. And is it Benjamin? Just set it right on the hose where it comes out of the console there. Very good. This is a dexterity test. Dropped your pencil. Does he need oxygen already, JR? Yeah, there might be one in the cabinet right here, JR. No? Okay, guys. Brian's side, you're looking for any symptoms of hypoxia that were not apparent before you took that mask off. And what our objective is 3 good symptoms. Once you get 3 good symptoms, you need to make the determination to find your mask, don it, check your regulator, and control your rate and depth of breathing. We've gone past 1 minute, so if you would, go to item number 4. And I want you to put a check mark by any symptoms that you're experiencing, and then take a pulse oximeter reading and transfer that information down below that column. While you're doing that, Brian, how many symptoms do you have by show of fingers? 1. Benjamin, you have 2. Very good. Don, you have 1. Scott, 1. Tommy, how many symptoms do you have, sir? Just show of fingers. 1, 2, or 3. 2, okay. Brandon, you have 3, 4. Holy cow, must be that end of the chamber. What are you doing? You passing gas, Eric? Dan? You have 1. Okay. All right, we are going to continue the demo. Of course, we've got Chris and Hal. You're both watching Dan down there, taking notes on him. We've got 12 going back on. And we are at 2 minutes for the rest of us. 2 minutes for the rest of us. So go down to item number 4 if you have your mask off. Put a check mark by the symptoms that apply to you right now, and also take a pulse oximeter reading. Looking at your pulse oximeter, is there anybody in the 60s? Raise your hand if you're in the 60s. Brandon, or Benjamin, is that high or low? 60s.
Got Scott at 68.
Okay, Benjamin, do me a favor. Benjamin, put your pencil on the clipboard and put your hands out in front of you like this. JR will show you. Just put your hands straight out in front of you, okay, Benjamin? Benjamin, put your hands straight out in front of you. And if I say climb, I want you to raise your hand up like JR is doing. Level off is back to center. We're going to do a thing called hanger flying, all right? You ready to go? Hands out in front of you. Climb, climb, climb. Mask on, mask on.
9's on.
We're at 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay. Is that Scott? No, that's Don. Don, how you doing, buddy? How many symptoms do you have? 2? All right. For the rest of you, go ahead and go to item number 4, the 3-minute column. Don, you think he's a good candidate for the toy? Is he past that? Don, JR is going to give you a little toy to play with. And what I need for you to do is take a piece of the toy out. Can you take a piece of the toy out, a little shape? And Don, do me a favor. Don, put that right down your shirt, okay? Can you put that right down your shirt pocket? Put that in your shirt pocket, Don. Right there you go. Okay, Don. Hey, Don, do me a favor. Can you hand one piece to Brian here? Brian's right up front here. Brian? Don, hand a piece to Don. Now, Brian, put that in your pocket. Very good. All right, Don, go ahead and start working on that toy. What I need for you to do, Don, is find a hole for that shape you've got in your hand.
13's on.
I think he's gone, JR.
4 minutes.
And we're at 4 minutes. So do we have anybody off down there?
Just number 1.
Just number 1. Okay, Brian, how are you doing? How many symptoms do you have? Show JR your pulse oximeter so you can see where you're at.
He's 66. He's doing good.
He's an animal. All right, why don't you give him the toy? We'll just let him finish Don's work.
If there's any pieces left.
Yep. If there's any pieces left.
You remember he had in his pocket and put it in the damn book.
Look at him go. He's a machine. You want a hammer with that, Brian?
He just threw it in the end.
Yeah, well, see, that one open end is not a shape, actually. All right, Brian, hand that toy back to JR. We're at 5 minutes, so go ahead and put your mask on. Look at those cat-like reflexes. Wow. All right, I need everybody to go ahead and finish writing any last statements that they want to on the worksheet, and then put the pencil and the clipboard back where you found it. I'm going to come down the row real quick and make sure that everyone is back to what they consider to be normal before we move on. So I'll start at the other end. Dan, are you back with us? Very good. Brandon? Good. Tommy? Good. Scott? Great. Don? Good. Benjamin? And Brian? All right. And Shane, did the tingling go away? Very good.
Yeah,
all right. Everybody if you haven't already, put the pencil back on the clipboard back where you found it. Put the pulse oximeter back on the console. We're going to start our descent down towards 18,000 feet. The next demonstration that we're going to do is a night vision demonstration, which will require the use of some color charts, similar to what you see on the wall there. But we will pass those out after we've been off oxygen for about 2 minutes. And what will take place as we pass through 22,000 feet, the lights are going to dim one more time. Well, they're going to dim for the first time, but we will take our mask off one more time. But we won't do that until we get to 22. Now, from that point on, we're going to let you stay off for 5 minutes, just like you were able to do at 25. The difference being, even though we've only gone down a couple thousand feet, our time of useful consciousness is going to expand quite a bit. At 18,000 feet, it's in the realm of 20 to 30 minutes. So we're looking at a little bit less than that, so we actually take our mask off at 22. But it's going to be much greater than 5 minutes. The difference. All right, we're at 22, so go ahead and take your mask off. The lights will dim, and we can continue our descent down towards 18. Now, the difference in your experience is that it's going to be more of a low-grade hypoxia. And what I mean by that is the symptoms are going to be very insidious in their onset and probably will go unnoticed within that 5 minutes that we're off. If by chance your symptoms come on to the degree that you experienced them at 25, go ahead and finish your demonstration by putting your mask on. And at that time, just go ahead and look at the color chart on the wall to see if you notice any changes. But if we make it to the 2.5 minute mark, you will have a handheld color chart in front of you. Now, what we're trying to show you here is the effects of a low-grade hypoxia on your night vision. Now, you could do the same demo in your aircraft at night as low as 5,000 feet. It would just take a considerably longer amount of time. To speed things up, we're going to do it at 18 to show you the effects of a low-grade hypoxia on your visual acuity. What is going to take place? Well, part of it has already been done for you. We turned the lights down, and things got fairly dark initially, but it doesn't take long for them to brighten up. Why? Because we're dark adapting. And over the first 3 or 4 minutes, you're going to dark adapt quite a bit. Now, full dark adaptation actually is going to take more like 35 to 45 minutes, somewhere in that range. But within the 5 minutes that we're off, there's going to be a significant amount of dark adaptation that takes place that gives us the impression that our vision is getting better. As the lights come up, we can see further down the chamber. Our vision appears to be getting better. But what you don't notice right now is the effects of that low-grade hypoxia on your visual acuity. And that's what we're going to demonstrate here in just a moment. Now, JR, if you would pass out those cards, please. And as you get a card, what I want you to do is have the colored side facing you. And then I want you to establish a normal reading distance. And from that point forward, once you establish that, do you want some extenders there? All right. What I want you to do is establish that normal reading distance, and then don't fluctuate that distance from this point forward. If it gets harder to read, if it gets easier to read, whatever, just hold that same distance from this point forward. Colored side facing you. I want the colors facing you. Now, what I want you to do right now is make note of the number of colors that you can see on this color wheel. How many different colors can you see? All right, now the next thing I want you to do is check out the center of the card. There's a phrase there. Can you read that phrase? And with your attention focused there, and using your peripheral, can you make out the letters that are on the edge of the card? Don't look at the letters. I want you to use your peripheral to try to see them. Then turn the card over. There's a visual acuity test here. I want you to make a mental note of the furthest line you're able to get to that you can make out clearly. And then on the bottom of that card is just some basic icons you'd find on a sectional. Can you make those out? Set the card on your lap. We've got about another 2 minutes before we actually put the mask back on. Just to prepare you for what we'll do in about a minute and a half is I'll have you grab the card in one hand and your mask in your free hand, and I'll tell you to don it. Now, what I need for you to do is when you don that mask is go ahead and don it, but hold your breath until you are focused on the card. So if you have to set the card down to get that mask on, that's fine. Just get the mask on, but hold your breath for a couple seconds until you get the card reestablished in front of you at that normal reading distance. And then I want you to take 3 good deep breaths of oxygen and then breathe at a normal rate while focused on the card in front of you. The colored side, I'll want you to first be looking at the colored side when you bring the card up. So we've got about another minute before we do that. Just kind of sit back, relax. And in about a minute, I'll have you make that correction I was talking about. All right, go ahead and get the card ready. Grab the mask, but don't don it just yet. Here in about 15 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and have you go ahead and correct by putting the mask on. Don't put it on just yet. And remember, take 3, I want you to actually hold your breath until you're focused on the card. And once you're focused on the card, take 3 good deep breaths of oxygen. So if you would at this point, go ahead and put the mask on, hold your breath, focus on the card. 3 good deep breaths of oxygen while focused on the card. Now, while focused on the card, can you make out the colors any easier than you were previously, about 2.5 minutes ago? Once you've done that, I want you to look at the center of the card. Can you make that phrase out? It should read, focus your attention here, watch the Z's disappear. Also, while focusing your attention towards the center of the card, use your peripheral to make out the letters on the edge of the card. Has your vision opened up at all? Maybe you had a little bit of tunnel vision as a result of the low-grade hypoxia. Turn the card over and check those two tasks out. The visual acuity test. Can you make out a line further down than you were previously? And then also, look at those icons. Can you make those out any more easily than you were previously? If you haven't noticed any improvement by now, you're probably not going to. So focus your attention towards the floor. The lights are coming up. And then pass those cards back down towards JR. And we are going to go ahead and start our descent with JR's permission towards ground level. Now, that we are starting our descent, so that is your cue to stay ahead of your ears. Make sure that you equalize all the way down so we don't have any issues with ear blocks, sinus blocks. As long as you do that, I will go ahead and discuss what we experienced on during our demonstrations, but make sure your main objective is to remain equalized. Okay, with that, the demonstration we just finished, the night vision demo, how many of you noticed an improvement in vision when you went back on oxygen? Anybody? Very good. A bunch of you. Let's start right there in the middle. I don't have my glasses on. Is that Scott? Scott, what did you notice? You raised your hand pretty quick.
Not with the colors, just with the symbology.
Symbology was much more clear to you? Easier to make out? Good. How many of you could make out the colors, the different colors, easier? A lot of times what happens is orange and red will blend together, blue and green blend together. How many of you notice those two easier to differentiate? All right, very good. How many of you notice your vision open up? You may have had a little bit of tunnel vision. Very good. How many of you had an improvement in your visual acuity? A couple of you. Did anybody have... Benjamin, you doing okay, bud? All right. Did anybody's vision get worse before it got better? All right. You experienced what we refer to as an oxygen paradox. We usually get 2 or 3 people per flight that occurs, and that's, you know, their vision actually gets worse once they put the mask on, and then it rapidly improves, and that's not abnormal, but doesn't happen to everybody. Okay, if you would go ahead and grab your clipboards at this time. And I'm going to ask some questions. I don't want people helping each other out to get the answers here. So just let the people that this applies to answer for themselves. But Shane's side. Did I ask anybody on Shane's side to do a task other than work on the worksheet? What did you, Karsten, you give me a thumbs up? No?
His com's not working.
Did I ask you to do a task, Karsten? No? Are you sure? Look on your worksheet. Do you have a number circled on there? What is that number significant of?
Heck if I know.
I asked you to count backwards from 100 by 3s, and you counted back, and you actually wrote that yourself.
Yeah, he wrote 3 numbers and then circled all 3 of them.
He wrote 3 numbers. Okay, very good. Karsten, who put your mask on?
Once again, I have no idea.
Do you think maybe you did?
I doubt it.
Do you have any recollection of all what happened?
Truthfully, I looked at the pulse ox. It was 63, and after that, not a clue.
And until when?
Oh, until Eric.
I
just heard him yelling.
Yeah, until he pulled you up off the floor. Well, Eric actually saved your life today, so you owe him a 6-pack. You had passed out and significantly passed out, and were passed out for quite a while. You were doing the baby neck, slumped down in the seat, and we weren't sure whether we were going to have a mess to clean up afterwards either. You were so relaxed.
Oh, that's good.
All right. But yes, you owe Eric. Let's go to the other side. Did I ask anybody on the other side to do a task other than work on the worksheet? Let's go. Brian, what did I ask you to do?
You asked me to take the puzzle part from Don and start doing the puzzle.
Good. All right. Did I ask anybody else to do a task? Don, did I ask you to do a task?
I didn't think so. But,
okay. You don't remember? Show him that toy that Brian was working on, JR. Does this bring up any...
I saw Brian working on it, but I didn't remember that you asked me to do anything.
Yeah, you were working on it before Brian was. And in fact, I had you pull some pieces out of there and hand them to Brian. Brian, do you remember him handing you? Yeah, you were... do you have anything in your pocket? Well, what is that? That's government property, mister. Now, I would say check your shirt further down, too. You were just like throwing these things you were like a kleptomaniac is what it was. And they say that this is like being drunk. Hypoxia is like being drunk and your true personality comes out. And all we saw was you taking our equipment and hiding it from us. So the problem with that, Don, is that this is a government-issued toy, and those pieces cost about $1,000 each, but we did get a coffee pot with it.
Now, the only thing I remember is I thought you told me to put my mask on awfully soon.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't have any.
It was well into it.
I don't have any recollection of.
Yeah, you had a little temporal distortion. But what's bothering me right now is that Benjamin's laughing at you. Benjamin, why are you laughing? Do you not remember what you did?
I was pretty bad off.
Do you not remember the task that you did? Do you remember putting your hand out in front of you? You had a hell of a time. I was trying to get you to hanger fly. You did maybe one movement, but that was about it. And then you had to put the mask on. But yeah, you were way gone. Okay, very good. We are going to go ahead and continue our descent. The whole purpose of that was just to show everybody that we had people that were conscious, but they were well past their useful consciousness. And that, once you go past your useful consciousness, how likely is it for you to be able to recognize the problem and be able to make that determination to put your own mask on? Probably not. You don't even remember putting your mask on. Who put your mask on, Don?
I could have swore I did.
JR? So you owe JR.
God, I owe the 6-pack too.
Yeah, well, JR is a bigger drinker than him, so you owe him a 12-pack. Karsten, you owe Eric. And then the rest of you will buy Bo and I lunch. So that's how that works.
Don't forget Michael right there. He barely got his mask lifted. He didn't have the strength to get it off the hose, so I had to take it off the hose for you, hand it to you before you could put it on.
Yeah. You sat there for ages, it seemed like, after we told you we hit the 5-minute mark, and JR finally had to come down and assist you because you weren't going to do it. Okay, very good. What I need for you to do is on that worksheet, I want you to circle the one symptom that stood out more so than any other symptom. Take that worksheet off the clipboard and put the clipboards back where you found them. Now, make sure there is a worksheet left on there for the next person. If not, let Eric know. And then we're going to go ahead and pass out a extra worksheet, but we'll also pass out a gauze pad that has alcohol on it so that you can clean your mask out. And once you've cleaned your mask, go ahead and hang those masks with the headsets. I'll come on the inside and I'll help.